Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to rig up a tip up. So the first step to rigging a tip up is you got to tie the line onto the spool. My choice of line is Ice Line by Woodstock. It's 25-pound test. I prefer a 50-yard spool. This one was 200, but I measure it out so that I put 50 yards on each spool. And why 25-pound test is because 25-pound test at 50 yards fills the spool perfectly. You never want to overfill your spool because it leads to tangles, and it can just be a nightmare. Sometimes I can't get the flag to go back in the hole, and it can be a nightmare. And I've just had really good luck with Woodstock. I've tried Beaver Dam ice fishing line. I've tried other lines, and this one just seems to hold up the best. Been using it for a long time. Catch a lot of fish on it. Also, another advantage to using a 25-pound test as opposed to like a 40 or 50-pound line is there's less drag in the water with this line. So as the fish pulls line out of your tip up, or as you're pulling line in from, like, if the fish is just sitting there and the line's slack and you're trying to feel where he's at, with a thinner line, that fish has a less chance of feeling you when you do that. So that's kind of the advantage to that. All right, the first step, I'm going to show you guys how to tie the line to the spool. I'm just going to do what's called an arbor knot. First, I'm just going to wrap the line around my finger and just make a knot in the line. Okay, so just make a knot in the line. Try to get it to be as close to the end of the line as you can. Something like that. There should be a knot right there. So then what you're going to do is you're going to wrap the line around your spool like so. You're going to take the tail end and cross it over the main line like that. You can just let it hang. Then you're going to grab that tail end and you're going to go around like this and just make a loop and pinch that line together like so. And now I have a loop, and your main line here should be able to move freely through this loop like so. So then to finish this knot, all you're going to do is take the tail end, put it through the loop that you just made right here, like so. Pull that through there. Should look something like this, guys. And then you're going to tighten that up on the line like this. And then when you pull that tight, that knot will not be able to fit through. That knot will just stop it and it'll cinch it. It'll cinch it right up like this. You can kind of pull on it. You can kind of push on it with your finger. Just tighten it up real good, like so. You want it to be tight enough where you don't really want that line to be able to spin on the spool. And then all you do next is you just take your scissors and you cut the tail end off. You know, leave like a 1/4 inch or something like that. Cut the tail end off, and you're good. That's never gonna come out. The next step is you can just spool your line. Now, I like to spool mine by hand like this. I have seen I've seen others take a drill and put it to the end of this and just cinch it down, and then you can spin it on like this. But what I find is it's harder for me to get the line on tightly to the spool, and it's really important that your line is nice and tight on the spool. So it might take an extra minute or two, but I like winding it by hand. Now that we got the spool all spooled up, in order to tie my leader on, we need to tie a loop on the main line. So I'm going to show you guys how to do a figure-8 knot. It's real simple. All you're going to do is just double the line back like so. And then I like to just wrap the line around my finger like this. And then, you got your loop here. All you're going to do is take this loop, wrap it around both lines like so, and put it through this loop. Just like this. It should look like that. Kind of looks like a figure-8. You're going to wet the line. Then you're going to pull it tight like that. Just like that. And then you got a nice loop in your line to attach your leader to. And then just remember to cut your tag end off. I like to leave about, I don't know, 1/4 inch on there. All right, the next step, guys, is we're gonna tie our leader material. What I use for my leader material on the vast majority of my tip-ups is 14-pound Trilene Extra Tough monofilament line. You're probably wondering why the heck is he using monofilament line? Doesn't everybody use fluorocarbon? Well, no, I don't use fluorocarbon, and I never will again. I'll tell you why. I switched to fluorocarbon a few years back, and I used that exclusively for a few ice seasons, and I've never had so many break-offs in my life. And I bought into the hype that it was more abrasion resistant than monofilament, there's lower stretch, all that good stuff. Well, I'm here to tell you, it is not more abrasion resistant than monofilament. Ever since I switched back to monofilament last year, I've barely had any break-offs, and I've just been so much more satisfied with this monofilament line. One thing that I actually prefer with this monofilament is it actually does have a little more stretch than fluorocarbon, and that's kind of nice, especially on a tip-up, because you're fighting it with your hands. You don't have that rod to put that extra bend in there to help you fight the fish. So having that little extra stretch could be the difference between catching the fish or not. The reason I use 14-pound is we've caught 10-pound walleyes using 14-pound line. I don't see any reason to go smaller. 14-pound is just kind of right in the middle. You can still catch nice sized pike, bass, and trophy walleye with this line. But what I like to do, I like about a 6-foot leader, so I just do my wingspan here, and then I just, cut the line off. And then what I do next is I'm going to tie that same figure 8 knot like we did on our main line. So I'll just show you that again here. So hopefully you guys can see this okay. But just make the loop like we did on the last one. Wrap it around your finger. And then I like to get the line off of there. And then it should look something like this. Take that loop, wrap it around both lines. Put it through that loop like so. I'm just going to grab it here. And then make sure you wet the line before tightening that down. Tighten that up real good. Give it a few good pulls there. And then just remember to cut your tag end off. I like to leave about a 1/4 inch. Cut it off. It should look something like that, guys. All right, the next thing that we need to do is we need to attach our main line loop to our leader. Now, a lot of guys use swivels for that. I don't believe in using swivels. I'll tell you why, and it's actually really important that you guys understand this. When you use a ball bearing swivel to connect your lines rather than a couple loops like this, well, that ball bearing swivel is a little more bulky than just a couple knots in the line. And in using a swivel, you'll notice that once you get to your leader line and you're pulling the fish up the hole, a lot of the time that swivel, especially when the ice is thicker, will get caught on the bottom of the ice. And it's like, you're like, dang, it's stuck. And a lot of the time you have to reach your hand down there to get it unstuck. And it can become a nightmare, and I've lost fish doing that. And I very rarely have a knot catch on the ice because, like I said, a little knot like this is a lot smaller than that ball on the swivel. To put these together, it's really simple. All you do is you just put your monofilament line right over the top of your main line, like so. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. And then just take the loose end of the monofilament, bring that end right through there, like so. Just put that right through there, and then just pull that all the way through. And then I'll show you what that does. Your lines are intertangled like that. And then all you got to do is just pull them together. I like to pinch the monofilament together so that it should look just like that. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. You pull it nice and tight. I'll give you guys a better look here. That is what it should look like when you're all done. And if you need to take the leader off, it's super easy. You just loosen this up, pull it off. If you want to put a 30-pound leader on or whatever, it's super versatile. And like I said, you don't run into the issue of this catching on the bottom of your hole. All right, guys, next step is we just got to tie the hook onto the line. I prefer to use Gamakatsu size 1 octopus hooks. These ones happen to be red. I've had really good luck on red and black. So you can use either, but size 1 seems to be a good all-around size for catching pike, walleye, bass, even perch we've caught on it. So it's just a great all-around hook. I do use single hooks. The reason for single hooks is we like to let a lot of the walleyes we catch go. And treble hooks kill a lot of fish, especially if they swallow it, and they're almost impossible to get out. So that's why we use the single hook. So show you guys what knot I tie. I just tie a simple Palmer knot. Palmer knot is the strongest fishing knot. So I'll show you guys real quick. Hopefully you can see this okay. So feed the line through the eye there. And then you're going to put it back through the eye like so. Pull some extra line through. Oops, kind of came out there. So put it back through there. Now you're going to grab both ends like this. You're going to take the loop and you're going to wrap it around both lines that are right here. So you're going to take this loop, wrap around both lines, kind of catch it there with your hand, and then you're going to put this loop right through the loop you just created right here. So I'm just going to grab that line like so, and I just pulled that through. Now the last step is you're just going to put the hook right through this loop on the bottom here. So just take the hook, put it right through that loop, wet your line, pull on both ends, the tag end and the main line, and just cinch it down. Just like that. Just give it a few good tugs. And that is the Palmer knot right there. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. And then just cut your tag end off. And you just tied the strongest knot that you can possibly tie. All right, guys, the next step is we need to put a split shot above our hook. So I just bought some Water Gremlin split shots. These are size 4. It says right there near my finger there. I prefer size 4 if I'm fishing for like walleyes and using smaller minnows. I do use a size 3, which is a little bit bigger for if I'm using like a northern setup, a little heavier line, and I'm using a bigger minnow. It just holds that minnow down there a little better. So I'll show you guys how to put that on. It's pretty easy. You know, you gotta open the split shot like that. You can kind of squeeze it open. Next, you just put the line right through that opening. Take a pliers or something that you can squeeze it with, and just cinch the sinker, the split shot around the line there. I like to pinch it a couple times, make sure it's tight, and then I like to. My general rule of thumb is I typically put the split shot. I'll go up to like about 8 to 10 inches above the hook. Early in the year, you can actually put it a little higher when the fish are a little more aggressive. As the season goes on, you might want to lower your split shot, bring it closer to the hook, because those fish later in the winter are kind of lethargic. That's really the complete setup right there. I will show you a few extra tips and tricks that I like to use. I've got another tip up that I've already had set up. So if you look at this tip up, here's my flag. You're going to notice there's these 3 black stripes here. You're probably wondering what those are. Well, those are reflectors. I don't use tip-up lights on my tip-ups. The reason I don't is because I always carry a spotlight with me, and I just think it's kind of fun to shine the light out there and see if I have a flag up. So, you know, if the flag's down, I can see 3 horizontal reflectors down, and then if the flag's up, it's pretty easy for me to see 3 vertical reflectors. And that way too, if you're fishing around a lot of people, if you're using a tip-up light, you know, everybody in the world knows you have a fish on, but if you've got reflectors on, really only you know when you have a fish, because you got to shine out there. And also too, if other people are fishing around you and you have reflectors on there, if they're driving their truck and they're accidentally getting too close to you, this is just kind of a safety precaution so people don't run your tip-ups over too. And all I used for the reflector tape is I just bought like some reflector strips off Amazon. It came in a big roll like this. I basically just, you know, cut it down to size, and I just kind of took a stapler and I just stapled it right to the flag. I just used 4 staples, and they don't come out. It works really well. I've been doing this for a few years, and it works. It's really slick. Well, there you guys have it. That's the complete setup to setting up a tip-up. I hope you guys learned something from this video. I just wanted it to be real basic for anybody out there that may have never set one up before. If you guys are wondering where I get most of my fishing stuff, I live fairly close to like a fleet farm. So I mainly get all my stuff at Fleet Farm, but you can go to Shields, you can go to Cabela's, lots of different places where you can get this stuff. It's really not hard to get. I'm sure you can order it online as well. If you guys have any questions or comments, or want me to show something else in a future video or explain things more, please leave that in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys have for questions. Happy to answer those. And please subscribe. Make sure you click that notification bell. And stay tuned for more content. We're gonna have some different videos coming out for you. We're gonna do some videos on where to find fish, and hopefully a lot of videos of us catching fish. So thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you in the next one.